sounding? All right, ladies and gentlemen, shout out to the 5 viewers. Excuse some little behind the scenes, but here at MTI, we do not hide anything, gentlemen and ladies. So as you guys can tell, you guys seen us get ready, prepare the mics, prepare the lights, make sure the shots good for everybody. Make sure Jose's in there, cause we need that woman, the women lights in these videos. So I got Jose in here, by the way. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys. Thank you for waiting. Shout out to 5 viewers, whoever that is. We do appreciate it. I am HT or Jesus, depending how well you know me. This is the Higher Thought Cast with Jose part 2. Jose, how you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty well, man. Thank you. How are you guys? How are you?
I'm well. Oh yeah, but thanks for reminding me. Shout out to Osvaldo. He's the engineer today on the stream. How you doing, Osvaldo? It's a bit low. My mic or your mic? Or both mics?
Both.
Okay. All right. Might be low, an actual thing. Here, let me. Okay, let me turn it up. Jose, talk to the people. Talk to people.
Oh man, I don't even know about what, dude. Put him in the hot seat.
Sorry. How's that sound?
Like fun facts, I guess. Um, the heart of the blue whale is so big that you could potentially walk through it or swim through it, is what they say.
Oh yeah, that's what they
Yeah.
say. That's a great fun fact.
Yeah.
I'll bet you our 5 life years didn't know that.
No, sir.
No. So
Back of the cereal box.
that's the fact you learned after like the Saturday cartoons, huh?
Yeah.
Camilo in the chat, appreciate you. Let us know if the volume is better. We turned it up. Anything yet?
Yeah, it's better now.
It's better.
Maybe
Try it. Let me know. Yo, mic check. So
if I'm putting you at full volume, I can hear you very good.
okay, but it might be higher. All right, Jose, give us another fun fact, like the one about the whale.
Another fun fact. Uh, I just saw recently that there are 3 types of orca whales, killer whales,
Oh shit.
and some of them hunt sharks.
Yeah.
They hunt sharks. They eat sharks.
Yeah.
Other ones go for like dolphin, seals, whatever kind of other stuff.
Yeah.
And then another one goes for it's like a bigger type of kind of fish or animal, whatever. I guess fish.
Mhm.
But yeah, like it has the longest like top of jaw as well with the teeth. It
Mhm.
has the longest jaw, the biggest teeth as well. The ones that hunts the sharks,
Mhm.
those have the most like rubbed down teeth because I guess their skin is the toughest.
Yeah,
The sharks.
just to get through it.
Yeah, so
And
like
penetrate it.
the first half of the teeth, they kind of seem like worn down, like run down,
Yeah.
and like the back half has the um, colmillos.
Yeah,
What are they called?
like the fangs. The
canines.
canine,
Yeah,
yeah.
those.
Speaking of that, just to like add to that, you know how much a killer whale is a killer whale? Like they literally just kill and they let like the body drop to the bottom of the ocean. Like
For fun?
they
For
just
sport?
do that for fun. That's like literally why because they just kill and let the carcass drop to the bottom of the ocean. They don't even eat it. That's how like they just like to kill. Sometimes, of course, they kill to eat, but usually, you good as well?
For survival.
What sounds? Let me know. You can talk.
Jose's a bit low.
Okay, you can turn up his. It's the second one. No, over there, in the bottom,
Should I
right there.
move to the closer to the side?
Let us know how the mic sounds. We're just trying to make sure everything is copacetic. But yeah, the killer whales, they literally, because they usually eat seals. Like that's what they're in for. But random ones, they'll just let the carcass fall to the bottom of the thing. That's how much like they don't play.
Damn, that's crazy.
I just watched the video because you said earlier, what was the other whale you mentioned? The first
blue
one?
whale?
The blue whale.
Yeah.
There's this video, and then somebody caught it on video and on the photo from the bottom of the ocean until it came out, and it landed back again, and it caught it when it dropped.
Damn, that's cool.
That's some sick. That was a sick ass shot. How we doing, Osvaldo?
Oh, dude, that reminded me talking about different
Uh huh.
sea life. I saw a video today earlier. That this guy, they did like experiments with dolphins.
Yeah.
And throughout it and all that stuff, like in the experiments, at some point it kind of started to turn around, like be the opposite. Like the dolphins were kind of guiding the researcher or guiding the guy, were making the guy do the stuff.
Yeah.
And so he got like really into it and all that stuff. And then he says that one time, I think he said one time, they kind of talked to him like through this sort of vision and all that stuff.
Yeah.
They had told him that they were gonna talk to him, they were gonna see him, and he had to go do this stuff.
Yeah.
And so, from there he went. Like one of his friends had a cabin out somewhere where he was supposed to go, and he built one of those, or he bought one of those floating isolation chambers pods where it has like the type of lights I see inside, and you're floating and all that stuff. Like the water's like the temperature.
Yeah.
And stuff. And so he went into that tube or whatever.
Yeah.
And he had a trip, and he had this vision, he had that stuff.
Yeah.
That I don't remember if it was the dolphin entities or like some other entity.
Uh-huh.
But they told them like in one of those visions, like, hey, on this day at this time at this beach, about 30 whales or so, different ones, are gonna come up. Like they're gonna come up, they're gonna look at you, they're gonna do whatever, and then they're gonna leave.
Uh-huh.
And everyone's like, nah, it's not gonna happen, and this and that stuff. And then he convinced enough people, like his friends and people that were working with all that stuff. They were all like in marine life work and all that. And at some point, he went, and then his friend also went, because like, dude, I'll roll with you.
Yeah.
And they went, and then some other people went, and dude, the 30 whales or so, all of them came up. Like one by one, like kind of did or whatever, went down, and then another one came up, and then another one, and another one. So from there, like that guy's just he like
keep down.
He didn't. I'm gonna say crazy. Like he went crazy, not because of like this happened, but like he went crazy. It was like, oh, like success, like, oh, like it happened, this and this, and he was so amazed by it. He was so excited by it that he just kept working in it. And he's still been working on that for like 30, 40 years. The same with like dolphins and stuff.
Yeah.
And bad, like that was all. They were training dolphins. Yeah. And then at some point they were thinking that it was getting flipped. Yeah. Like the dolphin was trying to train them instead to give them food and do all that stuff.
That's funny.
And then they're like, no, he had a vision, and then he had another vision. Yeah. And they came true, dude.
Oh, damn, that's cool. Where'd you hear that one from?
On TikTok this morning.
TikTok this morning?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great way. No, but it's funny because, I mean, the reason why I wanted to get you on this episode again, or to do the part 2, because there's other stories that talk about that. Dolphins recognize us, like they're not scared of us, because from while back, like dolphins been interacting with some sort of like version of a human. I'm not saying a human, but like the closest in that time to a human. Like they've always been interacting. Like they talk about how dolphins help out fishermen, because like the story you just said, because if they help to get the net or get all the fishes in the net, they know they're gonna get fishes. But they say that they've learned that from millions of years. Like that story you just said, it comes from that same kind of thought process. You know what I mean? Eso said good, Osvaldo? Okay, good. Shout out to Camilo. Shout out to the 5 years. We appreciate you out there. And like the video, please, so we can grow this channel. But anyways, so the main reason why I wanted to get you here, Jose, and the reason why we're doing a part 2 to this, and hopefully this can become more of a habit thing, because we're kind of the ones in the groups that, we're into these theories, these thoughts, these ideas that come from back then. So the first question I want to ask you, what kind of got you curious into like those ancient texts, to the more mystical side of things, and those other stories that usually people don't like pay attention to? Like what got you into like being curious about that?
I think it just comes from childhood, from TV cartoons, some video game stuff like that, like Dragon Ball, Pokemon stuff, because
that's true.
They had a bunch of dragons, and they had a bunch of different stuff that was more like, I don't know, out of this world kind of stuff. But they had some truth to it, you know, like Pokemon and all those. Like they have they use it for a reason and stuff. They have background information. So I think since then, and seeing them, like seeing the images, it was always just that interest that was always in there. And then growing up a little bit more was within school as well, just learning more history about certain places and that stuff, and then learning that, you know, there's, you know, these sort of creatures and stories and all that stuff in India, and then these are in China as well, and then they're over here in, you know, in Ireland, and they're over here, and, you know, things are like everywhere basically. So then just, I don't know, the interest kept going into them.
What was the first time where you like start looking at images yourself or started looking for certain texts? When did you actually start doing that? Shut the door. Please.
I don't know, maybe not so long, maybe 5 years or so, 6 years. It's been kind of something recent, I guess, where I've been like purposely more reading into it, because every now and then I would kind of get into it. I would read one small article or, you know, read a small sort of book or something, but that would be it. I wouldn't really follow it too much into it. It would just be like the start of something, basically. But I think maybe like 5-6 years ago is when it was more. It's starting a little bit more
prevalent to your curiosity and actually looking with intention a little more. Do you remember like the first story that kind of caught your attention, or like the first story you kind of looked into, as far as like ancient texts or just tall tales, as people like to call them?
If we do that way, it's actually much longer.
That's
maybe like 5th grade, 6th grade, whatever or maybe like 7th, 8th grade. Kind of like when the Percy Jackson series was coming out.
Oh, that's
Did you ever read those?
Yeah, no, I did.
See those, the movies afterwards and stuff?
Yep.
Yeah, like when those were coming out. And then also like from the other books, the what's it called? The Time Travel Treehouse, or the they used to go back into like,
and they would go on adventures
and stuff like that
in the treehouse. Every time they go in treehouse, they go on a different adventures. I remember those.
So they used to go into some of those as well, like the romance, and back into, you know, Vikings and stuff like that as well. They had a little bit some of those as well. But yeah, so I think it's back into from there, going into like the Percy Jackson books and all that. So yeah, so
it was like the Roman times and like the Vikings that got kind of your attention early on, just to like being curious about.
Did you start all of that?
Yeah.
The Magic Treehouse.
Yeah, the Magic Treehouse. Thanks to Osvaldo, the producer, in here today.
Okay. No, I don't think I would say them. I think it was from overall just the Aztecs on our side, the Mayas, the Incas, all those. Like the Olmecs, all them. I think it was them that started it, and then from there.
So it was more like the Aztec.
Yeah, just because like I think in part of the connection as well from soccer.
Yeah.
You know, because like the stadium, the América Azteca and all that stuff. So there's a lot of names in them, like Cuauhtémoc Blanco, like he was the leader, Cuauhtémoc. You know? So I think from there as well, just having influence from you know, other places, people.
Yeah.
But I think first more from them, and then after them, pues everybody kind of has an idea of the Egyptians and stuff. And then
when did you get to the Egyptians? When did that catch your attention?
I didn't learn the Percy Jackson stuff.
Yeah, because they touch on it for like a little bit,
tiny bit, like, and then there's some similarities as well within some of the people, and then some of the creatures that are kind of roaming around and stuff. Yeah, you know, so. And those connections there, like the Greeks and those people as well, like Alexander the Great, those movies.
Like Troy, those visuals. Stuff. Yeah, those were good. And where do you think you're at with that now? Have you learned more? Has things become any more real towards you? Is it better information like now that? Because I mean, you can find anything basically nowadays. I mean, unless it's an actual ancient text that hasn't been available to the public for whatever reason. But aside from that, the Baghida's available. Those Hermetes, the different like ancient texts are available. Like you could find them. Like there's actual published books that you could just go buy that people, you know, re-inscribed, they would say, right? So is it better? Where you at with that in that like just journey of being into this?
I think right now it's kind of like on the worst side, because it's on like a overwhelming side, because there's a whole lot, you know, there's a whole lot of books and text that you got to get through, a lot of like articles, and like one person leads you to like 30 more and all that stuff, you know, and so everybody like feeds into theories about everything. So like it's a lot. It's giving me a whole lot more, you know. It's giving me more doors and more like places to go and stuff, more to like look for. So there hasn't been like a full definite answer like, oh, this is enough. I think it's just been giving me more curiosity. Yeah.
And how much is it curiosity, or just kind of something that's a little more deeper, like part of you? Like, is it just curiosity, or is it just because you feel these stories probably have certain answers that they didn't want to tell us right away about?
At first more the curiosity part of it, you know, just reading the stories and learning about the creatures and like all these powers people have, and you know what they were, like their legends and all that stuff. And then afterwards, getting more into it, you know, like getting more older for sure, like reading more into books and understanding more into like reading a book, because like reading a book is still like a learning process to me. You know, you still gotta
you still gotta go
take
through
them all differently and all that stuff,
and you gotta understand the phrasing, the way they were trying to say what they were saying, literal, metaphorically, and stuff like that.
So I think once I got older, you know, maybe around 23, like college area and stuff, is when I got more into it as well. Just more into the like kind of understanding, like background understanding of it, the psychology part of it as well. Because the mindset that they had back then, you know, everything started from them basically. Everything that all the psychology started to lead, you know, started from them. Philosophy, like math, everything. So
Pythagoras.
Yeah, so from there, like kind of like seeing now, like, oh man, like everything started from these guys. Like they're not just like warriors, and they're not just, you know, these guys out here fighting, you know, demons and stuff like that. You know? So from there's that opening, that there's more understanding before it, you know, their lifestyle, like the Marcus Aurelius sort of lifestyle, and you know, Seneca and all those ones. Like there's a different personal background and knowledge for them.
Has any of what you come across yet, has they affected your beliefs, or have you adapted anything you've read or seen yet? Like, or has that happened yet? Or and if it already did, when did it happen?
Not yet. I've kind of just been glancing at them, at all of them. I haven't kind of deep dived into them, because I know that it's going to take me, I'm going to get really into it, and it's going to take a lot of my time. So that's also what's kind of blocking me away. To
like not get into it, because you're going to like obsess.
Yeah, because I'm going to want to, if I want to start like one process or like one sort of lifestyle from a person, I'm going to want to start to read, you know, 2, 3, 4, 5 books of them, and then I'm going to start doing all of this with them, and then that kind of overwhelms me. Then I think it's going to, I have to do way too much, and I'm super behind and all that. So then that kind of blocks me, and I'm like, I'll just read like the superficials kind of
like that
and stuff.
The cliff notes real quick.
Yeah, like okay, so let me do this person, and then I feel productive because I read on 3 people.
Okay, perfect. So, you know, so to you, when you read them, are they just stories? Are they real to you? Where are they?
I think that they're real stories. I mean, they had to come from somewhere, you know. So I don't think that they're all just all imagination or folklores and stuff. You know, like we do have vivid and open imagination, but you do have to have some inspiration. You have to see it somewhere too, you know.
Yeah, like when I try to have this conversation with like a person that, you know, dismisses those kind of stuff, that's where I like to start first. I like to start. Once upon a time, our best technology was storytelling. That's all we had one day. Like, that was it.
Yeah.
Right? There was a reason why we had to carry these stories, right?
Yeah, like the cave drawings were the newest way how to do it.
Yeah, that was like the second 2.0 version before just...
After, like, words and sounds and grunts.
Yeah, just literal spoken words of these I can't speak, these fantastical stories, right? And like you said, like humans have great imagination. Do not get me wrong, right? But we're not that good. Like
No.
these common things that always repeat, like where they come from, you know. Like I'll start it off like just the dragon. We somebody didn't just wake up one day and make a cartoon. Oh no, these are called dragons. No, because
Yeah.
the dragon has been told to us subconsciously throughout different cultures and what it means, different battles and why it existed and it came down from the sky, whatever you want to say, right? So these things, we got the inspiration from somewhere. Our human imagination is great, but it's not that great,
Yeah.
and that's why we have these repeatable kind of figures over and
Everywhere.
over through history, right?
Mm-hmm. Or like in all parts of the world.
And yeah, and
Sometimes at the same times. Well, not sometimes. Sometimes, but also same times and then different times as well, where
Yeah.
they shouldn't have even, coexisted supposedly.
yeah, and I wanted to have this conversation with you because I think me and you, out of like our team, shout out to Osvaldo and Camilo and Javier too, but me and you are kind of more on that side, right? I think you're still doing some work on your own, like processing certain thing, like because you're more on the, what I would say, the radical side when it comes to certain things, and that's fine. I love it. I love the energy. Because like I told Osvaldo the other day, like, because that's how I used to be when I was in middle school about this stuff. I was like very aggressive, because as soon as you start talking about, people want to dismiss you so quick.
Huh.
Like I'm like out of my mind, because I want to talk about like why the pyramids align with the earth type in the stars. Like, no, they really do, man. The math is there. I'm not just making it up, right? But I want to have this conversation with you because I'm curious, because I know how I ended up here. I know why I'm still here, and I'm still really obsessive, and I know why I love debating these things now, because the information is so live now. We're getting closer to materialize these mythologies or these things that once upon a time, oh, it's a fairy tale, it's a tall tale, as they would like to call it, right? Because the way I got to these things is, and you've heard me say it off camera, but I've always had a feeling that this wasn't it. This was a cool version. Cool, I get to live. I'm biological. Cool, right? But I always had a feeling that, nah, this can't be it. Like this, there's something more. I always had an itch since I was little. Like I always tell you guys when we do have these conversations, the way I think in my perspective on these, I've had it for a while, like since 10. I've kind of seen like my perspective on that. 'Cause first it was just like, this can't be it. This can't be the only reality we deal with. There has to be more, right? And then how I slowly kind of creeped in, it's going to sound mad corny, but it's the truth. Harry Potter. But not because I think Harry Potter is the true story. I think in the Dark Ages, there was something close to that for sure, right? And those Dark Ages were castles, kings, and queens. But I'm not saying Harry Potter is real. But what I'm saying is, I remember in school, in elementary school, we all had to read chapter books. I think it's 4th grade, 5th grade. And I remember going through all the books. I'm like, this is boring. Like, I don't want to read this for a half an hour. It's boring. And then when I found the Harry Potter books, that felt like that matched my imagination. So I was like, this is what I need to read. Because I was already thinking like that. So I was like, okay, this is it. But it started from there. And then it kind of continued on where that itch and that scratch of feeling that there's something more to this realm, this reality, this world, this universe was there. And then the second part is when I read my first Buddhist like book or whatever thing I found. And then, because I'm not Buddhist, by the way, but if I had to pick one, that's probably where I'm going. But I'm not a religious person. But the Buddhist was the first option, because I feel like Buddha was the first kind of these stories where they let you be part of the table. It wasn't just praise and fear God type thing. It was just like, no, look, if you meditate like this, in your inner self, you have everything to be great, to be God level, right? And then from there, like, okay, so that itch is kind of real, because this person that everybody follows, he's been saying this for decades, millenniums, right? And then and then I find Egypt. That was where I'm still kind of there. That's like my basis of everything. But you start seeing these stories, you start seeing these hieroglyphs, you start seeing these things like, how old are these? What happened? why are they still here, right? And even how Plato, Pythagoras, how they went to Egypt, because Plato, he got his Atlantis story from his uncle of generation that did go to Egypt, and he got it from somewhere in Egypt. And Pythagoras, he is quoted stating that he learned the highest of math, or even his spirituality, came from going to Egypt. That's what Pythagoras says. Because you guys know how I'm a big fan of Thoth. He's the god of writing and magic, Osvaldo.
Real stuff.
Mystical. Yeah, there you go. So when Pythagoras found him, he was a believer. And Pythagoras claims that that's where he got his higher level of math and like the sacred geometry and those conversations. But to me, it scratches the itch that my soul has always had for like understanding this and understanding this experience that we're trying to have every day, you know? Because when you try to understand it through the religious way, they like block you. They like cover that side.
Yeah.
Because they have those stories too. Because I think the Vatican has artifacts.
Yeah, there's a lot
has a lot of things that who knows when they're going to release those things. But they have a lot of interesting artifacts that they're not speaking of it, right? So they knew about it, but they were just kind of, trying to cover you. So to me, these stories are the real origin of what we are, who we are, and why we're like at this point that we are in. And as I always like to say, one of my favorite philosophers, his name is Ovid. So Ovid's basically a philosopher along with Heraclitus. He was who Plato, Socrates, and all them studied before Greek actually blew up. Ovid and Heraclitus. Those Heraclitus locked himself in a cave and just wrote. That's what he did. And they still can't find like fully of all his writings. So Heraclitus, and then Ovid was he's seen as he writes poems, like he's a poem writer, but he is a philosopher, and his idea was if we're able to recall our memory from like the original memory, we're gonna be able to know who we are. And when I hear those words, that's what I think. Like if we're able to remember like the actual origin, the actual where we were made from or came from, that's us being able to remember that, So to me, these conversations and I've worked really hard to stay away from this conspiracy like topic, because I hate that. Because to me,
it's not conspiracy.
It's not, but it's even more now because of even like conversation and videos I've been showing you. Like it's real science. It's real science. Like for example, this is the best example for the 4 people watching me rolling their eyes right now. Just think about meditating and think about yoga. For a long time, yoga and meditation was dismissed as this woo thing, as this mystical thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then now there's data science that proves that meditation does what the ancient texts have been saying and what yoga can do for you in the mental and the physical. So that's what's so exciting about right now, because now things are materializing, and there's so much proof that it's hard to kind of like, don't get me wrong, there's some things that are not true. There are some things that you should understand and know that it's not possible, but the grand scheme of things is true. And I always like to use the meditation, because it took so much people to finally love it, because if you meditating is another way to go to different realities, is to find a higher conscious. It literally is that. If you're able to have that focus and find that inner self, you can, because that's what Buddha becomes, to become consciousness. That's his whole point, right? But now people do it. They sell apps, people open things, because the data's there, and the ancient text's been saying it. And that's why it's so like wonderful to be around this time, because the things that you thought about when you were little, that this can't be true, people grown ups were telling, you'll grow up. No, this is it, man. Yeah. This is the actual start. Like, this is a good start. But just to my original point, I don't like calling conspiracy theory, because as soon as you say that word, people already have a programming when they hear that word. And me, I take it really serious, and I think that's part of my spirituality is just kind of getting in touch on that level, on the human level too, as far as you can. That's what I believe in stuff and the way I am. So I try not to, because I take it serious, because to me it's real. To me it's just real as science, right? And there's this great book that I have, and you actually could just buy in Barnes and Nobles in the science section. But it's basically a book that was written in the 40s. I don't remember the title. I'll remember later, but it's Burgundy. But it basically, the whole book is about how mystical Eastern philosophy with regular science, and
How they go together?
Huh?
How they go together?
Yeah, and how the mystical East, like kind of that thought process, were kind of saying the same thing. They just got to the science part in a more spiritual way, right? And watch, I'll bring that book. It's a cool ass book. It's called Tao Mystic or something, but it's a great book. You can literally just walk in Barnes & Noble and buy it off the science section. It's there. That's what's cool, because it's really ancient text. But it basically goes back to back where Buddha was talking about it, but look, now it popped up in science, right? So I don't like to call it conspiracy theory, because to me it's not. Especially in 2023, in this future, and how things are changing, and like how I tell you and Osvaldo, like you guys went to what was the museum called?
The British Museum?
Yeah, the British Museum. You guys, like, you took
The perennial philosophy?
I gotta look at the front cover. Or try Tao Mystical. Tao, Tao. It's basically a yin and yang with the black yang, and then the other one is the moon with a bunch of math. I could probably find it. But what was the British Museum, right?
But that's what it's called.
Yeah. And you in that picture you showed me a view where you took it in front of the Anunnaki statue.
Yeah.
Like
With
how
the Guardians?
Yeah, like how more real is that? Like they're right there. Like this is it. And the crazy thing is that there's actual artifacts to these things, right?
Yeah.
So let's get into a little bit of that. You know that video I showed you? So the Thunderbolt of Zeus, quote unquote.
Randall?
Yeah,
Yeah.
from Rando. Shout out to Rando. I think the
Rando
podcast is Danny Jones.
Danny? Yeah.
Shout out to him. Great podcast. I'm a big fan. So what is your thoughts about that? What do you think about that? And if you want, give it a little bit more context.
Well, thoughts on like how it could be used right now?
No, but
how
just
it's supposed
on
to
the
be
whole
used
thing.
from
Just
before.
a whole thing. Like let's start from the Thunderbolt of Zeus, and then if you want to go to the Indian stuff, but let's start there. So explain kind of like that. Start from that, because you've heard the story of Zeus, right? So just
Yeah, but now with that bowl, I didn't watch all of it. I don't think I watched that part then.
okay. So well basically, you guys know the story. Zeus had a thunderbolt. That was kind of his main power. For a while, it was looked at as like he actually can like produce that himself. But it looks like from artifacts and stuff of that nature, there was actually a chemical compound, a scientific way to actually create a thunderstorm. And then right now, that's kind of the idea, because they found it, they're materializing. I think a bunch of people in Europe are just making, remember those little machines in the backyard with the generators and the little, you got to go check out the Danny Jones. Go ahead.
That they're building I guess in our time, it would be like the artificial way of making it.
Yeah, basically.
Like the synthetic way of making it. Because back then, that was the Tao of physics.
And it tells you like physics now, and it tells you how like the Middle Eastern mystical way has kind of always been the same. I got to bring that book for you as well. You got to look into that. You got to give it at least 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good book.
I would like to look at it.
Yeah, and literally you can walk into Barnes & Noble. It's in the science section.
Yeah.
It's like next to Einstein. But anyways, you were saying?
For the bolt, right? It's the
Yeah.
and what was it about?
So, well, it was about how now we're looking like we're there where we can materialize it and we can actually
how
create it.
they were talking about like, with the machines and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that within the same bolt and stuff, like the structure of it, that was part of the machines. Like in most of the depictions of it, it's like in the middle it has like the diamond, and the outside it has like these, I don't know, pikes that like, I don't know, like branches that come out, but on the outside, on the end of it's like this pokey end of it, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, the end part of it was where it like sucked in air, and then the other side was where like it blew it out and stuff. And then in the modern science of it, it was sucking in like hard air or cold air, and then like it was blowing it the opposite one at the end, and that was supposed to be like the energy source today that would be used for.
Yeah.
But like from back then, I guess it was just like a war weapon and stuff. I didn't see into the Zeus part of it and how like that one was made into like the chemical part of it.
Well, let's go a little bit into. Well, let's just let's theorize. We're here. It's we're live. Shout out to the 3 viewers. We appreciate y'all. But so because you said earlier, because maybe how we're making is the synthetic way.
Yeah.
But my thinking is because even in that same podcast with Randall, they actually found the same spheres that we're using now. They found ancient artifacts of those.
Yeah.
So it might not even be that Zeus actually made it himself. It's actually because he had the apparatus where it would be made.
Yeah, like to be able to harness it. Yeah, because they were saying that it was basically, at some point, some places it was considered like a weapon.
Yeah.
And in some places it was considered a tool. And in one of the parts, Randall says that it was one of the tools, like if it was like a battery part, basically. And it was needed it, boom, from here, and then boom, it started to flow and it started to work and all that stuff. So yeah, it moved from weapon to tool to this, so has been used in different ways, but it's like an energy source in a way as well. So that's from the lightning comes in and the storms and all that.
Yeah, and him like supposedly thunderstorm and the thunder across all cultures. And I think remember that day when I showed you, we even looked into the not the Buddhist, what's the other one? It's really close. It's in the Indian culture. Hinduism. Because even like Hindu gods had that same capability. Across all cultures, there's some sort of being that supposedly controls thunder or lightning. Remember X-Men? Remember Storm? Yeah, like even that story, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So do you think a lot of this stuff it was really that they just kind of knew the science back then and they know how to put like these apparatus together? Do you think it was more that, or do you think maybe it was more close to like maybe they actually did have these abilities? Now that we have like more clear.
Well, it's both. I think about both of them.
Okay.
I think about that. Maybe back then, it was from people's this depictions and their stories and stuff. Like if you ever played the telephone game.
Yeah.
Like after it gets told after many times, something gets off. It gets.
It's not the same as the original, no matter what.
Distorted and stuff.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I think that it's that maybe it was a person, but how you said, like they were just able to use this tool. They knew how to use this rock with this and that, and they made this, and they happened to wear maybe a headdress because it was for safety measures or so, whatever, know. But the story goes like, it was this guy that was, half animal and half this and half that, but maybe it was they were protecting themselves from suits, with suits and whatever.
Yeah.
So sometimes I think about that way that, maybe at that time, it was one person overall who, took care of it all.
Yeah.
Who knew how to use this and mix this and all that stuff. Think about that, but that's like the boring side of it. Dude. That's like the lame side of it, dude. I think about it, I'm like, nah, that's what a square would think,
With all this information.
Yeah, like that's what a loser would think.
You're not gonna use this for
like with all the internet, with the palm of your hands internet, like,
yeah,
you gotta think more. And so then I think about it instead that there was this half beings that they were coming on from different places, whether it was like from like inner earth or like outer earth, like wherever. So it's but interesting to see it that way instead. There's all these extra things, that's how they were getting the knowledge from. Yeah,
and I'm kind of I agree with what you're saying, because I think there was certain occasions or versions where people, they just had certain abilities. That's their natural ability was to do that. Like even thinking about what's that one word, the guy that makes gold. It's a specific word.
That makes gold.
Yeah, like he.
A goldsmith.
No, there's another like one of those.
Blacksmith.
No, it'll come to me. It'll come to me. But I'm in the same thought where.
Miner? I don't know.
No, it was this other word. I forget, but it'll come to me. Don't worry. But
forger.
You're getting closer. You're getting closer. It starts with the Z, I think.
A Z.
Yeah, I remember the story. Like, did you ever hear the story about the guy that would touch anything and turn into gold, or when the king had somebody specially make him gold, something of gold? It's a certain word. It'll come to me. Don't worry. But I'm in that same thought process. Like I said, I think certain stories. I think certain people did have certain abilities, but I think a lot of it too was they just knew the science. And they knew how to materialize these apparatuses.
Alchemy was a really...
Alchemy. That's it.
Oh,
that's the one.
That's the science part of it. Like that's the transfusion part of it. Like break down the gold into the bare minerals and into the
alchemy.
Atoms, whatever
Alchemy.
This and this.
Thank you, sir.
Well, that's like going into the synthetic stuff because it's breaking down into like the purest forms of stuff.
Yeah.
And then I'll take gold breaks down, I don't know, let's say to 4 things.
Yeah.
And then from there, like, okay, if I get these 4 things in the wild, then I can just like cook them, like Zelda, cook them in a little pot right there. Boom, and then boom, I'll end up with gold because these are the, the primary elements of it. And I'll have gold out of dirt.
Yeah. But yeah, you're 100% right. But that was their way of like materializing the science in that time. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it was actually happening. Like, so yeah, certain people did have certain abilities, and like you said, certain times they were just wearing suits or they were wearing some sort of like thing that protect their skin or their oxygen.
Yeah, because they knew what they were messing with.
Yeah.
I said like they had the knowledge of the whatever material it was, whatever equipment they had to use and all that stuff, how to mix, the alchemists had to mix enough of this and all that stuff. So, and
from all the stories you've been looking at, Jose, which one in your heart you just want it to be true? Like which one, like you look at it like, like I wish that was just true. Like which one is it? Do you have one? Like anything, any of these like ancient texts or these stories, like which one would you like? Oh, that'd be cool if it was actually true. Like they would just, you can actually, we could just prove that it's true. Like which one would you want to be
all
true?
The stories and all
yeah,
stuff?
which one?
I mean, I think like the more general ones with everyone and all that stuff, like the Egyptians and stuff. But I mean the Aztecs, all that. Like I would like to see that being proven and how they created all that.
Yeah, don't forget they had El Dorado. They had El Dorado. Speaking of alchemy, they had a whole thing of Dorado that what's his name never found, motherfucker.
El Cortez, right?
Yeah, he found some other gold, but he didn't find
the ones that they gave him like right there. But
because not El Dorado, because so just to give a little bit of context, the story of that one. Well, as far as I understand it, and please correct me. So the Mayans and the Aztecs inherited everything that we kind of know them for, as far as like architect, those pyramids. They kind of, the story goes that they didn't build them, they inherited them, and the same thing goes for a certain generation of Egyptians. They didn't, because there's a generation or two that didn't build anything; they inherited all those. Yeah, so the Mayans and the Aztecs supposedly inherited all those things that we kind of know them for, and they made them part of their culture, right? They ritualized them, because I mean, you have a perfect built pyramid. when you're like half naked, you're like, oh, this must be God.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what else you're gonna think? It's a human thing, right? But the story goes, so Thoth, when his older brother Ra didn't want him in Egypt no more, because when finally Ra got his kingdom and became pharaoh, he got selfish. So he basically said, Thoth, I don't want you here. And then Thoth's dad and Ra's dad, Enki, sent him like, go over here and build these pyramids. And that's who took the gold, and that's who took the Olmec with him to build those pyramids that the Mayans and the Aztecs. So the ancient text goes. That's why I understand so far. So the Olmecs and Thoth,
older. I had known that the Olmecs were like the older ones.
Yeah, like from way beyond even that time. And Thoth, in Aztec culture, he is seen. What's the main king? The Vivora?
Quetzalcoatl?
Quetzalcoatl, that's Thoth.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Thoth and Quetzalcoatl is the same thing. That's why he's known as that. That's why I love the Exolado so much, because the story goes that Quetzalcoatl turned into Exolado and escaped. But that's the story. So in Mexico, Thoth is Quetzalcoatl. In Egypt, Thoth is Thoth, the king of magic and writing and higher math.
Yeah.
And then in Greek, he's Hermetes. You know that the thing you just showed us, like it says Hermetes. That's the Greek version of Thoth.
Yeah.
So in Mexico, he's Quetzalcoatl. But basically, the story goes that he took the Olmec with him from Egypt after he didn't want him no more, and his dad told him, "Well, go build on this region," because I think there was gold there too. Because the story goes, I mean, everybody kind of just wanted gold. There's a reason why we kind of naturally, as humans, like gold.
Yeah.
Right. We don't. I mean, obviously now it's some sort of vanity thing that where gold, but gold's actually used for a lot of things. Gold's in all your technology, by the way. Yeah. It's in our like spaceships. It's really important. It's like helps a lot. But that's the story, But you would want like the Aztec thing ones, like for you to like actually be legit.
Yeah, because there's also like these stories with all of them that they all just kind of disappeared. Like there's no actual sort of writing lineage, that they just kind of died off.
That was the Mayans, Well, or is it the Aztecs too?
In those eras, like whichever one it is,
yeah.
But like figure that stuff out, because like how they were able to build all that extra stuff, if they were like part of them following thought, how you were saying, and then at the end of it to see like what happened, because for every other civilization it kind of seems like they kind of like just died off, like basically like
they just left.
They evolved, like they left and they advanced. I mean, not evolved, but they advanced into their stuff, and they were no longer this like primitive thing. They were like the evolved, the better ones of it, I guess.
Because in the new Black Panther, they kind of use that story.
They talk about it, a little bit.
Because supposedly they went into the water and they turned into...
like they had left from the space out here to...
because of the Spaniards and like I said. Because that's... When I see that, I'm like, that's another way that these people are using that story. That's an actual, an ancient text story. That like... That's not... When I seen it in Black Panther, I was like, I know what they're talking about. Yeah. Yeah, but it's those little stories. Like... Yeah, we have great imaginations, like as we said earlier, but... It's no way. The inspiration has to be marked somewhere in our subconscious, down either generations or whatever, or your ancestors, but it's there. But me, to be honest, I want, if I had to pick one, if I could just pick one and it actually would be real, it's the Thoth stories, like in Thoth and that being and what he was and the point of he even coming to life, because Thoth in his emerald tablets, or in the different versions of Kabbalah, there's a bunch of different hermetics beliefs that he wrote, but they say that under the paw of the Sphinx, it's his library, like it's his thing, like that's where he hid everything. That's where he hid like other things that we haven't found yet. Right, and then that's another thing from the Danny Jones, and this is a new episode. No, it's a whole different interview, and I showed this one to Osvaldo too. That people are getting closer to that idea that there is a hollow records under the Sphinx foot, that it was Thoth, because the story goes he built the pyramids and the Sphinx. He built all the pyramids that you see culturally. Thoth technically built them. That's why he started in Egypt first. Well, the story goes he started in Atlantis. He helped his dad build Atlantis. And then after that, where they had Egypt. So he built those. And then Mexico. And then everywhere else. It was those. Like, that's where, like, the building part comes in. So they're getting closer to idea that the Hall of Records might be under the Sphinx paw. Because in Thoth, in his ancient text, he tells like only basically he says the chosen one, or the one that needs to open the Hall of Records, it will open to him when the time comes. Yeah. Quote unquote.
Like it really reveal itself.
Yeah, when it needs to reveal. The right person that it needs to be revealed to will be there, and like it would just be this grand opening where like, oh, look what we just found. That's why right now, because they're doing digs and stuff. But just to kind of end, so we don't do long. But
here,
go ahead.
We were talking a little bit like into the stories, like which one?
Yeah.
Do like I turned it off.
No, you're good. Just don't pull the cord.
That like what stories to be true and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're like I was blanking out, man, but like kind of talking about it, man. Like all the Anunnakis, like the Sumerian stories, like all of that, man, because they're like supposed to be the ones that are the creator ones,
original society.
And then their stories that they came from Nibiru and this and all that stuff. You know, I mean, like I took a picture of it. I was, in between their guardians. You know.
Yeah.
But, so yeah, like their stories, I think that'd be tight. Like seeing that.
I mean, when because the Anunnaki, that would be my second pick or first, because Anunnaki hold like a special place in my heart for some reason. Because, I mean, you imagine having those structures back then, and they were before the Egyptians.
Yeah.
The Sumerians, Middle Eastern culture. Well, technically, if you read the text, all culture comes from Sumerians. Writing, math, business, commerce. They were the first ones. Libraries, schooling, even before the Greeks, because it's told that the Greeks were like the big ones, but the Greeks just kind of took and put their name on it. Yeah, but no, it wasn't the Greeks. It was first the Sumerians, Egyptians, and then everything else, as far as what I can tell. But I agree with you, because the Anunnaki, I mean, to be honest, when I read those, I don't think that they liked us very much, just as humans.
They were using us, basically.
Yeah, they didn't really care about us. But if the story that is told in those ancient texts is true, I mean, we needed them. That's how we came to fruition, right? If you want to get to the origin of where we come from and how we ended up here and what really happened in that, that evolution of ape and, what we are now or what we were before us now, Yeah. What's the biblical name they like to use for that?
The Sumerians, no?
No, the biblical name for origin. Do you remember, Osvaldo?
For origin?
No, when they talk about like oranges, like the origin story, but it's a biblical word.
In the beginning.
You're not wrong, Jose. Definitely in the beginning. But anyways, don't worry about it.
Creation.
They
use that?
Yeah, it's creation. Yeah, it's creation. Like their story of creation, because it's not that much different from what everybody knows, but there's just some little details left.
Yeah.
They don't point out the big ass hand that was kind of moving there.
Yeah.
But the Anunnaki would be so legit because, I mean, you got to see the structures when you went to the British Museum. Like, come on. Before any amount of civilization we had as humans, we had that.
I know, yeah.
Like
and they were already like advanced civilized.
Yeah.
They weren't like starting civilization.
Yeah, like they brought it with them. They didn't find it.
Yeah.
Wherever they came from, they had the science because
they came to instill it here.
Yeah, like they just kind of like, just to give everybody a context and fuck it, we're deep diving at this point, but it is what it is. But the story is that their planet's atmosphere was running out. In their planet's atmosphere, they use gold to kind of use it as a shield to power their atmosphere. So it's going down. So first they went to Mars. Couldn't really. They tried to find gold. They were stationary, but when they ended up on Earth, that's when
they found it.
Yeah, that's why all the spots the first spot was Africa, because all the gold is in Africa. That's why everything started there, right? Mm-hmm. And that goes along with everything else that we know, right?
Yeah.
And then the story goes, well, at first they thought, well, we can do it ourselves. But, these are smart people. They're, and smart people are sometimes elitist and they don't want to do the labor work.
Sometimes they're lazy.
Yeah.
They get lazy.
Having too much threesomes, It's for like everybody,
Tire somebody else.
Yeah, yeah. So they said, well, we should make a version that can dig for us and get the gold, right? And then from that idea, they started experimenting with what's already on Earth, what they were already seeing, and and I and I think that they started with random stuff because I think that's where like the Sphinx comes and like half horse, half man stuff. Like they started experimenting even on like on the lowest level with that, but then they seen that it didn't work out. And then they finally started doing the ape experiments, and they went through different versions of the ape until they got like the closest we are to this modern Homo sapien, and they just kind of perfected it to become like a human. Because I think even in some images it's just like an ape with two heads or something, or one eye. Like they messed up a lot until they got to us. There's like different versions.
They basically grew us until we were ready to find gold on our own.
Yeah, when we were capable enough to be like actually dig, last.
But like on our own, like look for gold on our own.
Yeah.
Like not because it's a servant kind of thing, not because they're telling us. It's,
yeah.
It became like an innate thing.
That's like, your purpose.
Like gold is for us. Like gold is good for me. You know, instead of like I'm working this gold to give.
Yeah.
Like they built us until then, and then they kind of just laid back.
Yeah, but that's the one that if I can choose one to be true, that would be.
I think after that, yeah, I would like to.
Because, I mean, that clears up a lot of nonsense we've been told. Like, bruh, we're actually half aliens.
Yeah.
Along with the ape, we just got mixed up. You know, like that proves that, right? And but just to wrap it up, do you think, like, let's say, like me and you found like an actual alien, right? Or whatever it was, but something that we were trying, and we actually like sat him there. He was conscious. Maybe he didn't know how to speak English, but he would like speak whatever version of his language. And we showed him on this live right now. Do you think even then people are going to believe us? Like we literally haven't. We even showed the camera with his little legs. We made him walk around the table so they can know. Yeah, so we made him walk around so they can know we didn't make him. He's not paper mache. He's not a robot. We found this being, and he's cool. He's chilling with us right now until either the feds come get us or his people come get us. But you think if we showed it, think people would even believe at that point?
Nah, because I think we have like both. Like, it's like the same like contradictory thing. Mm-hmm. We all have this image of idea of how like an alien would be, like this green gray thing, like big eyes, this big head, like long limbs and whatever. Like we all have that image of what an alien could be.
Yeah.
But and if we were all to see that, we'd be like, oh man, that's an alien.
Yeah.
But then we also have that idea that because we kind of think that that's an alien, if we do see it, we're like, that's just fake. It's somebody just playing around. Because why would an alien be like that? At that point when we were to see it, then we're like, nah, man, an alien can look like anything. An alien can look like something else. It could be like a person we wouldn't even know. It could be like this, it could be that rock.
Osvaldo's still looking at me funny.
Like at that point, like when it's there, we're like, nah, that's not it. Because it could be something way different. You know, we're always going to be like, no, it could be something different. And then if we were to say, but what if this person's an alien? And they just had like, nah, it's not it. Because aliens look like this. They look gray and they have like this, So it's always like, it's always flipping back into it. Like, but nah, I think they wouldn't believe it. They would be like, nah, it's not.
Yeah, I don't, because Osvaldo actually asked me a really good question the other day. He asked me, when do you think these things are actually going to become true, or they're going to come into our regular everyday life? And my answer was, it's going to be true when it needs to be true. And even then, it's going to be a quick thing.
When it's convenient.
Yeah, because even in the Anunnaki stories, they talk about karma, and they talk about not Mortal Kombat, but it's gonna sound like I'm saying more like mortal karma.
Yeah.
They said that we were supposed to forget that side of us. We were never made to remember that. Like I said originally, like the Ovid quote, the philosopher from back in the days. That's why he says, if you remember who you, if you can remember your original memory, you'll remember who you are. But I think aside from governments and media and stuff that we deal with now, aside from that, but I think we were programmed to forget, because we were programmed to be mortals, to live and die. we in reality, because if right now for the four viewers I got in here, if Osvaldo's is writing a paper, man.
He's typing away.
Yeah, he's tapping away, producing, man, ignoring us, listening to electronic music. Camilo wanted to know.
Somebody's typing away.
Yeah, somebody. He said, "Where's Osvaldo at?" I'm like, "Damn, bro, I found your husband. Relax." Jesus, he'll get home soon. Relax.
Right where you left him.
Yeah, he's been here, man. Anyways, shout out to Camilo. But how the Anunnaki tell it? We were me too. Ha ha ha. What the hell is he talking about? Oh, he's typing them. Oh, you doing homework? Damn. While we were working. Sorry. You're fact checking. I could hear it. But our karma was supposed to live and die. No more than that. Because if we remember these things and we can prove them, we can become immortal. But our karma was to live and die. We're supposed to be mere mortal humans. We're not supposed to know more than that. And I think besides what we deal with in modern times as far as government and media, I think this is something that goes way deeper than even what we deal with now. Like it's in our subconscious that we were supposed to forget these things. That's why if me and you showed a bunch of people a walking being that's not like us right now, they wouldn't believe us. Because they're so far.
I was desensitized.
Yeah, and the program is so far in the subconscious that can't be real, because it shouldn't be real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, anything else, Jose, as far as that? I think we'll definitely continue these series, because as you know, Jose, me and you are kind of the mystical guys in the group. The other one's a little religious.
Truthful guys.
Sorry, Jose. Truthful. Yeah. Shots fired. But I think me and you are you down to like kind of continue the series, and just like when we find like little other subject lines, and like as the new things come out.
Yeah, keep coming in, keep getting more comfortable, open up.
Yeah. For sure.
I gotta get a kind of feel you guys out. See how.
Oh, I don't like that, because then I feel. I feel you out. Hit me with the one that you don't want to put on the table right now.
What do you mean?
Well, you want to fill me out. Come on. What idea or what story you want to put on the table? Not yet. Okay.
Nah, I'm just saying.
So get them likes up. Let's get those comments, please, so we can get Jose comfortable enough, and he can show you guys how he truly feels about this world.
No, it's just been coming in more.
But I think we're probably going to have to name this whole show or series a whole name, but we'll figure that out. Yeah?
No, I was going to say that I think we'll find it later.
No.
As we go.
Man, Jose's hilarious, bro. I love you, bro. But so with that said, ladies and gentlemen, shout out to the 4 consistent viewers that we had, the fam showing support. Thank you for the 5 likes. Please pass the energy, pass the vibes. Subscribe to the channel. Like I said last time, if you care to know what I'm doing or what I'm thinking, this is where I'm showing everything, because I don't do the social media shit. So subscribe, please. Go follow Katinsila. Go stream Monster. And with that said, cut it off, Osvaldo. Peace.